My first tip for writing a first novel would have to be read, and get writing. I don't believe a person in the world could begin writing a novel if they haven't read a certain amount of novels. And I say you need to read purely because you need to understand how literature and fiction work. Acceptable forms of writing, unacceptable forms of writing, sentence construction, timing, scene setting, etc., etc. So it's virtually impossible for a person, in my opinion, to just pick up a pen and start penning a novel without having read good literature and equally bad literature, so you can see how it's meant to be done and how it's not meant to be done. So for me, the most important thing is to get reading and also get writing. My second tip for writing your first novel is to love the concept that you're writing about. And I say this because writing a novel is a very, very long and arduous task. And that's when you love it. So can you imagine writing 30,000 words, 40,000 words, investing so much time into a project, almost 3, 4, 5 months, and then it starts to go in a way that you don't like. You're going to feel gutted, and it could actually put you off writing in the future. So it's very important that whatever you write about, you find interesting, and you believe the person who you're writing for will find interesting. Just like anything in life, if you do it with passion, people will be able to feel the passion in your writing. If you have no passion for what you're doing, people will also be able to gather that. My third tip is don't listen to doubt. Doubt rears its head at every single avenue, especially for a creative person. Doubt will always come into play and have you questioning whether your story is good enough to stand up besides the likes of maybe Stephen King or Kuntz or whatever. But if you let doubt get to you, you'll never even start and you'll never even finish, so you'll never even know. So I'd say don't listen to doubt. Keep pushing on, keep persevering, and like I said before, read some bad literature as well. People who are published, maybe go online, check out some terrible books with terrible ratings, and understand that, you know what, if you can write even up to that standard, you have the ability to be published too. So yeah, doubt is a thing that we all have to face, we all have to conquer, but don't let it conquer you. And if it comes in, you just show it the door. Because if you start doubting yourself, you'll never finish your work, and we'll never ever get to see how beautiful your writing is. My fourth tip for you would be to let your manuscript sleep. So once you've finished writing it, you've done your 90,000 words or 100,000 words or whatever that may be, you turn off your PC, save it to where you need to save it and make sure it's safe, and don't look at it for a selected period of time. I think minimum 2 weeks. I choose to do a month, and basically the function of this method is to make sure that when you go back to reread it, you're rereading it from the perspective of someone who is not that familiar with it. That way you can look at it objectively, see any plot holes, any problems that you would not have seen before, because it's very easy to miss things when you're submerged in something. So this method is so you can kind of subtract yourself from what you've written and be able to look at it with open eyes, and be able to objectively edit, cut, and hopefully come out with a better draft once you've finished. This next tip is by far one of the most important tips I can give to any up-and-coming novelist. independent author, or whatever you want to call yourself. And that is, once you have gone through your editing process, you've let it sleep, you've got your beta readers to read through it and tell you which bits and bobs you could possibly change, and you've implemented changes, now it's ready for the final edit. Now this is a task that I would not suggest you undertake yourself. I would suggest you get professional help for this, because there's nothing worse than somebody reading your book or reading a book and it's littered with punctuation issues, grammatical errors, and etc. And you know, we as authors, we are authors, we have an imaginative brain. It doesn't mean that you're an English lecturer or a person that's trained to proofread. That's a common misconception. I would strongly suggest you get a professional person to come in and proofread your work and make sure that it's at the standard, at a professional standard. So when people read it, they may not like your story, but they can't say that it's littered with issues and it was unreadable. And I think that's a big thing. And I've seen a lot of people get reviews, and a lot of readers turn around and say, you know, the story seemed good, but I couldn't finish it because it was littered with grammatical errors. And this is because somebody has chosen not to, you know, really invest financially into what they want to do. And I think that's such a shame. So I'd suggest you get yourself a good proofreader and make sure your stuff is professionally edited so it can stand up next to the likes of books that are published. So yeah. My last and final tip for you guys is your book cover. I cannot stress how important it is for people to have a professionally made book cover. If you think about it, it's your prospective reader's first point of contact with your book. If your book cover screams amateurism, people are not even going to believe that what's inside could be professionally done. So they will not even give it the time of day. Remember, you're an independent author. You don't have a machine behind you, so you've really got to make your books really attractive. Same way peacocks do, they display their feathers so you can attract people to come and read your book. Now that can't work if your book cover is being done on Photoshop by yourself and you're not a professional illustrator. So I would suggest you spend a little bit of money, just like with your editing, and make sure your book cover is attractive, it's shiny, it looks fresh, and most of all, it's professional. Because people are really not going to buy into you or what you're creating if your book cover screams amateur, you know, it has an amateur effort about it. So I'd suggest that you invest a little bit of money. I used a website called 99 Design, where people bid for work and projects, and it was pretty good. There's a lot of talented people out there. You're an author, you're not an illustrator, remember that. So even if it takes a little bit longer for your book to come out, save up the money, but don't do yourself a disservice, because you could be missing out on an opportunity that you can never get again. So those would be my top tips for you budding authors. I hope they're of use to you one day. I'd like to thank the guys at Silverback Magazine for coming down and giving me the opportunity to spread my knowledge. My name is R.P.FALCONER. I'm an independent author from London. I write in the thriller section of literature and the horror as well. So feel free to check me out on Facebook, R.P.FALCONER, at R.P.FALCONER on Twitter, or you can go directly to my Amazon page and purchase my first novel, which is Lilith, a supernatural thriller. It comes in paperback, or you can download it onto any e-reader. You guys get writing. I hope one day to read one of your novels. And that's it, man. Peace.